that will turn out to be the optimal procurement quantity or optimal production quantity at which the sum of ordering cost and inventory holding cost will be minimum. Okay. To start with the first model, that is called Wilson's model. It was established in 1915 somewhere. This model is derived with some assumptions and notations. So let's see what are the assumptions. Demand is known and uniform. So we are working with deterministic model. It is always easy to work with deterministic. Once you know the concept of that, you can go with the probabilistic part. Let R denotes the total number of units purchased or procured or supplied per time period, and Q denotes the lot size in each production run. Shortages are not allowed to start with. Lead time is 0. No doubt lead time 0 is not a feasible assumption, but once we start with, we will come to know about the characterization and then we can proceed with the lead time. Replenishment of commodity is instantaneous, that is, put an order and you will get within a short time, and that short time, which is lead time, will be considered as negligible. Setup costs or ordering costs per production run is capital A. Holding cost is H per unit in inventory for a unit, that is, H will be equal to C into I. C is the purchase cost of the particular unit and I is the carrying charge fraction, which will be incurred by the retailer when he keeps the product in the storehouse. So it looks like initially you start with Q units in the system. Demand occurs at a uniform rate, say capital R, and because it is decreasing, we have slope of that particular line to be negative R, and it finishes off at capital T, which is the extreme boundary point on x-axis. So what aim is, one can just say that initially you have Q units with you, and at the end of the cycle time you have no units. So on an average, Q by 2 units you have occupied during the whole cycle. This is one cycle. You can continue the same cycle over and again, but we'll try to analyze this one cycle. There are two ways. One way is analytical way, second way is geometrical way. Geometrical way of proving results are available in the textbooks. Let's go with the analytic way, that is differential calculus, integral calculus, and techniques which you know how to optimize particular function. Okay. So what we need to know, at what rate this rate of change of inventory occurs. So let us take 2 points on x-axis at say t and t plus delta t. Delta t is very small. That small you can choose of your choice. It can be of 1 day, it can be 1 hour, it can be 1 month, but negligible compared to capital T. So at time t, you will have number of units with you to be Q of t, and at time t plus delta t, you will have number of units to be Q of t plus delta t. So what is the change in number of units is difference of these two, Q of t plus delta t minus Q of t, and how much this difference has come between time t plus delta t minus t, so delta t. And under limiting case, you know that Q of t plus delta t upon delta t is nothing but the rate of change of inventory, that is dqt by dt, and we said, and rate of change of inventory also represents slope. That is what first derivative of geometrical interpretation of first derivative is, and slope in this case we said is negative r, that is at which rate it is depleting, inventory is depleting. So we have this differential equation dq of t by dt is equal to negative r, and cycle time is 0 to t. What are the initial conditions? We started with q units, which is also equal to r into t, that is r is a demand, and that demand is to be satisfied during capital T time units, and boundary condition as q of capital T is equal to 0, that is at the end of the cycle time capital T, we are having no inventory with us. So we what we have come to initial value problem with boundary conditions. Let's see what will be the solution. This is a very simple one, linear differential equation, linear equation, which can be integrated using these boundary conditions, and we'll get solution to be q of t is equal to r into t minus t between 0 to t. As soon as you put t is equal to 0, you will come to know what should be the optimum purchase quantity, that is q, which is equal to r into t, that is suppose you have demand of 10 units in 7 days, so I should procure 70 units. That is what this formula says, q is equal to RT. The average inventory carried by the system during 0 to t is 1 upon t integration 0 to t of qt dt. The simple integration, substitute value of qt as r into t minus t, integrate, substitute the limits, that is RT by 2. But this statement says q is equal to RT. So I can say on an average I will be left with q by 2 units in the system, and that is what I said while describing the graph. The ordering cost per time unit is A by T. The total cost per unit time is now sum of inventory holding cost and ordering cost, that is HRT by 2 plus A by T. You can write also this equation in terms of Q. Just put RT as Q. So 1 upon T you can write in terms of AR by Q. Now we will use our maths to find what should be the optimum time. The first derivative test helps you to find what should be the time, that is differentiate this, that is what necessary condition is, differentiate k with respect to t and equate to 0. Okay. K dash t will give you t is equal to, say, optimum t star will be in terms of only model parameters. Keep in mind model parameters were ordering cost, inventory holding cost and demand. Okay. Have a second derivative to check whether the obtained cost at optimum time, do we have total cost also to be minimum, and answer is yes. If you differentiate cost function twice, you will have greater than 0 whatever t you start with, because ordering cost A is greater than 0, t is time, so it cannot be negative. So whatever t star we obtain, that is 2a upon HR square root, turns out to be minimum, turns out to be a time period at which cost is minimum. And if you substitute value of t also in the cost function, it will be only in terms of model parameters, that is square root 2AHR. So we have optimum value of q star, which is r by t, that is square root of 2AR upon h. Knowing q star and time, I can say how many times I will have to put an order. Okay. N star will be given by r upon q star. Only thing here we will keep this to be integral value, integer constants. Okay, because number of orders cannot be fraction, so we will have to take it to be integer quantity. And knowing number of orders, I can also say what is the time between the two orders, that is given by 1 upon n star. The optimal length of time between orders is also known as economic review period. In the EOQ model discussed, even if we say that ordering cost depends upon the number of units to be procured, it will not change the optimal value of order quantity. Okay. But because of this factor BQ, A plus BQ, ordering cost will obviously increase.
We can have an example for that, as ma'am told over here. A perfume manufacturer purchases perfume bottle at the rate of rupees 42 per bottle from the vendor. That means purchase price per unit is 42 rupees. The requirement of this perfume is 1800 per year. That is, our demand is near about 1800 per year. What should be the order quantity per order if the cost of the placement of an order is rupees 16? The ordering cost is 16 rupees and the inventory carrying charge per rupee per year is 20 paise. That means if you are going to input 1 rupee purchase price over there, then 20 paise will be for the inventory holding cost. That is 20% of the total purchase price. We are supposed to find out the minimum cost over here. That means we are supposed to minimize the cost function over here. For that we are having such data, that is R is 1800, A is 16 rupees per order, H is 42, that is a selling price, that is a purchase price for the unit, and that is multiplied with the 20%, that is 0.20, and that is nothing but 8.40. And now Q, we know that 2AR upon H, that is square root of 2AR upon H, that will give you the answer, that is 83 bottles. That means we are supposed to buy 83 bottles for the
Order.
we need to order the 83 bottles for the minimum cost, where minimum cost will be nothing but square root of 2 AHR, that is equal to 695 rupees. And this graph represents the minimality of the given function. This is a ordering level versus total cost.
Red part represents inventory holding cost. That is, initially I don't have any inventory, so it will pass from 0 and it remains linear. Green shadow represents ordering cost, that goes on decreasing, and blue shade is the total cost, that is sum of inventory holding cost and ordering cost. So at 83, look at the graph, at 83 total cost turns out to be minimum.
Example number 2 that we are taking over here, that is an example of a company which planned to consume 760 pieces of a particular item. That means our demand is 760 pieces. The past record indicates that the purchasing department has used 12,000 for placing 15,000 orders. The average inventory was valued at 45,000 and the total storage cost was rupees 7,650, which includes wages, rents, taxes, insurance, etc., which are related to store department. The company borrows a capital of 10 points per year. If the price of an item is considered to be 12 rupees and the order size of 10 items are given to be there, then determine the purchase cost, purchase expenses, storage expenses, and capital cost and total cost of an inventory system. Here order cost is of 12,000 rupees for 15,000 rupees, 15,000 orders. So ordering cost per order is nothing but 12,000 divided by 15,000, that is rupees 80, 0.80. Inventory carrying charge is nothing but the 7650 upon 45,000 rupees multiplied with 100, that will give you the 17% fractions of the total inventory. Purchase cost of 760 rupees is 760 multiplied with its purchase cost per unit is nothing but 9120 rupees, and the purchase expenses is depends upon the order also, because we know that every order is of near about 10 units only. So 760 units are to be ordered over there, that will be must be in the 76 batches over there. Per batches we are having an ordering cost to be 0.80. So total ordering cost per batch is nothing but 60.80 rupees. So storage expenses is nothing but 1 by 2 QCI, that will gives you the value of 10.20 rupees. Capital cost is nothing but 1 by 2 Q into fractions with the capital cost, that is given at to be 10% over there, and that will give you the value of 6 rupees over there. So total cost associated with this is the sum of all the preceding costs, that is 9120, 60.80, 10.20, and this 6 is there. So total cost associated with this inventory system is nothing but 9197 rupees over there.
So in the previous model, we assume that the production rate is infinite, but that is not the case with most of the companies. So let us see how to go with the condition that we have a finite replenishment. So in this model also we will have almost all the assumptions of the previous model except that of instantaneous replenishment. Let each production run of length capital T consist of two time periods T1 and T2. T1 is a production time period and T2 is non-production time period. We'll see how to define this production and non-production time and when to stop. the inventory is building up at a constant rate of P minus R units per unit time during T1, where P has to be greater than R, because otherwise you will have a question of shortages, and the first model says that we are not working with shortages. There is no replenishment or production during time T2, and the inventory is decreasing at the rate of R per unit of time. So it looks like initially, suppose you don't have a production to be finite, then initially it's like what we had in the first model, which was saying that you are working with Q units. Now I have production and demand going simultaneously, so brown color shades, which is starting from 0 and continues up to T1, is of P minus R units. That is, suppose you are producing 10,000 units and demand occurs at 500 units, so every time you will have P minus or 10,000 minus 500 units in the system. And at point T1, you have attained a maximum level of inventory. After that you have to stop the production. So after that, whatever inventory you have accumulated in the system will get exhausted to 0 during cycle time T2. So 0 to T1, first part of the triangle is called production phase, and second part of the triangle is called non-production phase. This is what I already said. So how similar to what we did in first model, let's see how differential equation looks like. During first phase, rate of change of inventory is because of difference of production and demand rate, while during non-production time it is only because of demand that is getting satisfied. And we have three conditions. Initially I am starting with 0 production, so Q of T1, Q0 is 0. At the time point T1 I will be having maximum inventory with me, so we'll say QT1 is equal to IM, and that get exhausted at capital T. So Q of capital T is equal to 0. Now using these three condition and linear equation, we can solve the differential equation and we'll get this solution. It is P minus R into T during production phase, and during non-production phase it is R into T minus T. And obviously we are working with the continuous functions, otherwise we will not able to apply our mathematical calculus tools. At least we'll have to go for some other tools. So under the assumption that this Q of T is continuous function, we can get the value of T1 also in terms of model parameters. That means I need to know continuity of the Q of T at the endpoints T1 of both the sides. So we'll have P minus R into T1 is equal to R into T minus T1. So we need to know what is the total area covered by inventory during production and non-production phase. One can go with the geometry, just find out area of both the triangles and continue with the total number. Okay, but it is always better to go with the calculus part, because in that case you are never overestimating inventory. So total inventory carried during 0 to capital T, that is during the cycle time, will be 1 by 2 into Q times 1 minus R by P. R is demand, P is production. And ordering cost A R by Q as usual. So total cost turns out to be sum of inventory holding cost plus ordering cost. Use the same tools which we did in the first model. Differentiate, equate to 0, will get the value of Q as 2AR upon H into 1 minus R by P. And if you differentiate it second cost function second time, it is 2AR upon Q cube, which is less than 0 for all Q. Work out number of orders by R by Q star. Also you can work out for how much time you need to have production. That is T1, which is given by Q by P. So 2AR upon HP into 1 minus R by P square root. And knowing all the parameters, we can find out the value of the total optimum cost that is also dependent on model parameters, inventory holding cost, ordering cost, demand, and production rate. Okay. Now in this case, if you take P tends to infinity, that is production to be infinite, you will be back with the original model, that is Wilson's EOQ model. And if P tends to R, then there will be no holding cost and no setup cost. Why not? Because when you say R is equal to P, there is no cost involved, because that the minimum cost turns out to be 0.
The example for this model is, say, a manufacturing company needs 2500 units of a particular component every year. The company buys it at the rate of 30 rupees per unit. The order processing unit cost for the part is estimated of rupees 15, and the cost of carrying part in stock comes to know about the rupees